glad you're with us. And right now we're talking about pedestrian safety and making sure pedestrians have the right of way in a crosswalk and basically making sure they're safe anytime they hit the roads.
Right, because it appears that they're less safe now than they've been at any point in the recent past. House Bill 5429 is trying to right that wrong. A public hearing on it was held yesterday, virtually, of course, and here to talk about it and what's next for the bill, we have State Representative Roland Maher with the 96th District there, New Haven, East Haven. He's also the chair of the Transportation Committee. Representative, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you just start talking about sort of the expansiveness of this bill, what's in it right now?
Thank you and good morning. And it's great to be here after a very robust public hearing that we had at the legislature yesterday via Zoom, of course. 5429 is our attempt in Connecticut to counter what we're seeing happening in our state and across the nation, which is a dramatic increase in the number of pedestrian fatalities and roadway lethality that we're seeing directly as a result of increased speed and distracted driving. So we have a bill that we're considering this year that makes a series of changes to the status quo in Connecticut roadways. We would allow local municipalities to lower speed limits in their downtowns and pedestrian zones. Right now, all those decisions are left up to the state. But we think in our local communities, we know what the appropriate speed limit would be in a downtown village, and it's probably not 35 miles per hour. It would also make changes to our sidewalk laws. Right now, we have this ridiculous standard, one of the few places in the country where you have to actually walk into the middle of traffic before a car has to slow down and yield to you in that crosswalk. Now you just have to step up to the curb, signal your intent, and the car would be forced to yield. We also would dedicate funding from the sale of some specialty license plates. You'll see them in Greenways accounts. You'll see a number of specialty license plates for Connecticut residents. The funds from that license plate would be dedicated toward bikeways and greenways across the entire state. It would also increase penalties for distracted driving. We're recognizing that the number of distracted drivers, either with a phone in their hand or their onboard technology, is directly related to the number of crashes that we're seeing. And finally, we do some small pilot programs for speed cameras around our schools and in work zones, like where the highway workers are replacing potholes or fixing guardrails. Those two specific areas are really challenging for us to get a handle on the amount of speeders we see. And the number of vulnerable users in those specific locations is quite high. So we thought we'd start with some targeted pilot programs on speed control in those areas as well.
Okay, real quick before we go, just what is next for this bill? Because it's certainly not in the point where it's going to be voted on yet. What's next in the process?
We completed our public hearing last night. We'll now talk to representatives and legislators across the state and on the Transportation Committee specifically to see what their concerns are. If there are any modifications we need to make those programs work the best, we'll negotiate in the committee for the next few weeks and hopefully vote it out of the Transportation Committee before the end of February.
All right, Rep. Lemar, thank you so much. Please keep us updated on where the bill stands.